Now, if I'm looking for 3, maybe 4 sentences, and one sentence is going to be the answer, right?
Yeah.
And presumably at least one sentence would be evidence,
Yeah.
and one sentence would be explanation.
Yeah.
How many pieces of evidence do you think you should probably include in this short paragraph response?
2.
Literally 1. Maybe 2. If you use compound or complex sentences to, okay? Now, the answer is your answer. Do not copy paste what you think is a good response from the text in as your answer, because that would be considered what?
Plagiarized. 7, 8.
It would be called plagiarism. Okay? Academic dishonesty, perhaps, or the C word, cheating. In my class, I don't care if other teachers in the past have told you that it's okay to copy paste. For some subjects, that might be perfectly acceptable if you're just retrieving the answer. But if I'm asking you to write a response to a prompt, the answer is yours. Your answer. Your thoughts. Yes, based on what you learned, but you are going to synthesize your answer based on the information you learned, right? And we talked about this in, what was it, like checkpoint 2 of the first project?
I think checkpoint.
We did it together in checkpoint 1, we did it in partners in checkpoint 2, and then you had the final written product, right? The answer is yours, your thoughts, what you think based on what you learned from the resources. And then you put together your own unique response. The evidence, is the evidence going to be yours?
No.
No, it's not yours, but you will select the top piece of evidence that supports, not, oh, this looks like a really good piece of evidence. No. Which piece of evidence made you think that this was the answer? So you answered, what was it that made you answer that way? That's probably the best piece of evidence, right?
Yeah.
So use that. Now, it's not yours. You need to make clear that the evidence is not yours. How do you do that? How do you convey to your reader that this is not your idea? Go.
In this article it says, or in this document it says.
Yeah, according to this, or in the article titled blah blah, right? And then you'd say what they meant. You do not have to quote. Because a lot of you, when you quote, you just drop in a quote without any kind of explanation. Okay? So it's helpful to, in my opinion, the way to go is paraphrasing. When you get to a really high level of writing, you'll get to the point where you might be able to put in a quote into your sentence, and you'll have that level of skill. Maybe 1 in 30 of you have that skill level now. And that might be pushing it. Okay? What do I mean by that? I mean, you'll be able to have your sentence and seamlessly put in a quote, not a whole sentence from a quote, not a whole paragraph, just a piece of it that makes it work and that proves your point. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay? But it might be easier. I squared, not circled, I squared around paraphrase, because paraphrasing is just like the coolest trick ever. What does it mean to paraphrase? To paraphrase means to say the same thing, the same meaning, but in whatever words work for your writing piece. You're going to convey the same meaning, the same information, but in a way that flows with your response. Your same language. And when you do that, you answer with your thoughts in your language, which, by the way, is, what, a 7th grader? So when you paraphrase, you're going to break down whatever level of writing it is. You're going to take that information, and it will also be in your language. I won't get confused and think, who is this writing? Is is this a collegiate level person or is this my student? Does that make sense? And by doing that, not only will, you'll do two things. I'll know that you weren't just like trying to copy paste, plagiarize, right, if you weren't giving credit. But it also tells me that you understand, doesn't it? When you rephrase and you actually get the meaning right, doesn't that tell your teacher, whoever your audience is, that you understand the content? Doesn't it prove that to them? Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I'm looking for. I want you to tell me what you think. You answer the question with a statement. It's your thesis statement. It's your answer, your thoughts.
Yeah.
And then you're going to prove it to me in your own language. And you might have a very small quote that helps you explain. Or that's the actual evidence for it, right? So the answer is yours, your words. The evidence might still be worded the way you want if you paraphrase, but you're still going to give credit. Like, according to what I read from this source, and then you just tell me the information, right? And then you explain how that proves your answer. But if you are explaining how the evidence proves your answer, wouldn't that also be your words? So here's the thing. When you are writing in elementary school, you're going to start off with like your work, like second, third grade, you're probably, I don't know, 20% of what you write is your actual thoughts. The other 80% is probably given to you by the teacher, right? You've got things like maybe first grade, you're writing a sentence, like the teacher will say a sentence to you, the cat drinks from a saucer, and you'll write that down. Or they'll have a vocab list, saucer, and they'll say, write a sentence about what a cat drinks from. And you'll write, a cat drinks from a saucer. Look it up. By second grade, they might say, well, what do you think they're drinking from the saucer? And they say, the cat is drinking milk from the saucer. Right? So you're stepping up your level of contribution to the written piece, every grade level, right? So by the time you're in like 4th, 5th grade, you could probably write a decent paragraph. And if it's a 4-sentence paragraph, you probably have 2 out of those 4 sentences that you're really in control of. And the other 2 might be like evidence, or you're just repeating, or you're pulling a quote from something, right? By now, by the middle of your middle school years, or junior high, or whatever we call this place, 2/3. I would say 2/3 is a pretty good fraction. That's 66.7% for those of you that like percents better. You should. And look, isn't that what I'm asking for? There's 3 things here for that response that I'm looking for. Your answer, your evidence, and your explanation. 2 out of those 3 things should be purely your thoughts and ideas. Again, are you allowed to be pulling that information from sources? Of course. But you're going to synthesize it so that it's now your thought. You have taken the information and you have made something new out of it. Okay? When you go to high school, that percentage is going to go up again. So now, instead of 2/3 or 66.7%, you're going to be up around 75, maybe 80% of when you're writing for response to informative text. Maybe 75, 80% will be your own thoughts, and only, 25% will be you using quoted or paraphrased evidence. Guess what happens in college?
100.
If you go to college, or even if you don't go to college, you might still do other writing for whatever company you work for.
90%.
Yes, 90.
I got it.
90% of what you write, if you write a paper for whatever purpose, 90% are going to be what you think. At that level, you should have some thoughts, yes? And you should want to share those thoughts. You're not going to be just parroting other people's stuff anymore. You need to be thinking for yourself. So yeah, you'll still have evidence. You'll still have that source material. Lots of source material, I'm sure. But you're not going to parrot that source material. Because your professor or your boss, they already know a lot of the source material. They want you to come up with something new based on it. Make sense? So yeah, you're going to be at 90% your own thoughts. Your answer is all your own. Even now, right? Your explanation is all your own. The evidence is the only thing that's not yours. But by paraphrasing, you're still showing that you understand it. Yes?
Yep.
Not trying to be too boring here. Analysis. No, not analogy. Analysis. What does it mean? What does the word analysis mean? What do you think,
So like,
James?
analyze it or like,
Yeah, so analysis is your thoughts after analyzing. What does it mean to analyze something? To examine it in depth. To really read on a topic and pick it apart. What does it mean? For whatever purpose you're doing, right? If you're in a certain business, maybe you're doing market analysis, you're going to look at a lot of information about what sells in a certain area or in a certain field, and you're going to come to some conclusion based on the analysis you've done on that information. And you're going to present this to maybe to your boss, and you're going to say, I think, what? We should invest more heavily here or there or in this new product or maybe this new piece of technology to make us more profitable. You're going to provide that analysis. Okay? And that would be your answer to whatever question they asked. What do you think? Your bottom line up front. You don't hold your thesis statement hostage. What is the point you're trying to make? You give that to your reader, to your audience, right up front. Bottom line up front. Have I told you that before? Right? Don't hold it hostage. And then you back it up and you sell it. You prove it. All right, good. So let's a long intro there. So let's look at this one with those requirements kind of in mind. First sentence.